Welcome back to the Authentic Human Podcast, the place to be when you're tired of feeling lied to or like you just can't quite get to the truth, but you know you're ready for it. I'm Michelle Vickers, and since January 2025, I've been partnering with the creator to bring the story of creation, the real story of creation, back into the hands of humanity, those of us who need it most. So let's get in to part 64. Okay. So we've had, for those of you who maybe haven't been here before, I have been communicating with conscious beings my whole life. And in 2004, there was a significant event in my life that triggered me to want to understand it more and to go deeper into learning how to do it. So for the last 20 plus years, that's what I've been doing, is exploring why I have this ability and what I'm meant to be doing with it. Okay. And so through that, I've learned that we all have something that we offer to humanity, yes, but also the universe and existence. And my mission has been to help as many people as possible to get the information that you need so that you can also come back to that place where you're contributing to humanity, you're contributing to universal evolution. So, that being said, I've worked, for 20 years at least with the creator on different projects with different people, getting information about humans, about creation, about existence, about evolution. Really, anything I was curious about, I was jumping in on those projects. And in December of 2024, the creator asked if I would partner with him and the Universal Council, which is a number of universal beings, that these are the beings that created humanity, that created Earth, that created the solar system that we live in, so that we could bring this information back to humanity. Why? Because it's vital to our success. You can't move forward if you don't understand who you are. And so, I was nervous, yes, but I jumped in. And here we are at part 64. And we're just going to keep going until the story is told and until you remember who you are. Okay? So, part 64, we are going deep into. It's interesting because now, for the first few parts of the series, well, the first 62 parts of the series, we were going into different aspects of existence, but we would stick with most often one universal being who would discuss that aspect of existence. Why? Because that's what universal beings do. You're a universal being as well. You have one aspect of existence that you hold space, energy, and vibration for, so that everyone else in existence can access that wisdom. Okay. And so now we've shifted. So in the past two, really, in 62, we were introduced to the roundtable discussion. And in 63, it was explained even more deeply. The short version of that is now we're going deeper into different aspects of existence and all the universal beings so when I go into it, all the universal beings, the Universal Council, are communicating together. Okay. So it's not just one being here or there. It's all of them together as a collective. That being said, if there's a specific aspect that needs more highlighting or more information or more in-depth specific details, then that being will step forward and I will share whoever that is at the time. But if I'm not sharing exactly who we're speaking with, it's because it's the entire council and they're speaking collectively because they all have the awareness of these aspects of existence. Okay. So right now, what they want to talk about, what they want to go into today is we're okay. So they want to share existence as seen through the eyes of humanity. Okay. So this is interesting because you probably think you know what existence is from humanity's perspective. Okay. And this is vital to your success as a human being because most of us don't really understand how we look at the world, how we look at existence, how we look at the universe, how we look at ourselves. Okay. Most people were so ingrained in the belief system that we've been trained and taught to participate in that we don't even realize that we're looking at everything through a set of rules, if you will. Okay. And so it's interesting because the angelics are here. So we've got the first stream angelics who are very much a part of this understanding, right? They created matter. They created the existence of matter and how, well, we've talked about that in the last, like the magnetism and understanding how all the matter comes together to form different planets, everything, and how the details of each planet, right? So they don't just create a planet, they create each detail of the planet, right? It's just like thinking about your body, right? Your body isn't just a body, it's organisms, it's organs, and it's systems inside that have to be functioning in order for all of you to be balanced, right? And so this is what most humans can't see at face value in the current state of being. So originally, when humans were created, they're showing me you would communicate with someone and you would instantly have full awareness of where they were out of balance, mentally, emotionally, physically. Okay. Because that information is important to the conversation that you're having. Because if that person is mentally or emotionally challenged and you're conversing with them, you're picking up awareness of that experience and you need to understand all aspects of that person. Nowadays, we don't have that. We don't have that wisdom anymore because we've chosen to close our minds to it. If you want more information on that, go back to part 63. It's fascinating. But this is why humans are in such trouble and such turmoil at this point, because we've lost our ability to communicate and connect with each other. We've, it's fascinating the way they're showing me, we've become a society that hides behind the fears of worrying. Someone's going to find that out about me. Someone's going to find that out about me. Oh, I don't want to tell them, back in the 80s, right? It was very, uncool to share if you had cancer or if you had any type of disease. It was hidden. It was kept secret, right? And then we had people like Oprah Winfrey who talked about it on her show, right? They talked about it in an open way that changed the landscape so that people started talking about it. But then there became a bigger problem. Okay, now we're all talking about it, but what are we going to do about it? Then we started talking about mental health. We started talking about emotional health. Okay. And then we have another bigger problem. Now everyone's talking about it, but the healing solutions are not working. Therapy's not working. It's just a whole bunch of people talking about their stuff and they're feeling worse. They're not actually getting results. They're getting put on medications to manage the symptoms rather than restoring balance to the mind, to the body, to the brain, because the mind and the brain are very different, but that's another whole other conversation. Now, This is how humanity has, well, ultimately, it's why we're suffering. Okay. Because we have this innate fear that everyone's going to find out, right? If you have something going on mentally or emotionally, maybe, you're having money problems, maybe you're having relationship problems, maybe you're going to lose your job or you lost your job and you don't want anybody to know. So you're walking around in fear that people are going to know. Why don't you want people to know? Because you think that that situation makes you less valuable to that person. That's why. Because you believe it makes you a failure. And this is the problem with human existence. Okay? Because number one, every experience you have is to make you stronger, to give you more insight into who you are, what you're meant to be doing in your life. So if a relationship is not going well, it's because you're not supposed to be in that relationship. If you're finding that you're having financial challenges, it's because whatever you were choosing to use your money in is not, or how to make your money and how to bring it in, it's not sustainable for you. And the universe is saying, find a new way. Not because you're broken, not because you're less valuable and there's something wrong with you, but because you're ready for a different experience. But we've been taught to fear the judgment of others, right? Lovely religion brought that whole concept into belief that we are going to be judged our whole life, especially at the end of our lives. Okay, so this is why they want you to understand. So even Jesus is here. We've got the entire stream of angelic. So we've got first stream, second stream. The entire universal council is now showing up. All the light beings, the soul beings, like your soul is here. And they want you to feel the truth. When humans were originally created, you were created to explore your potential. You had full access to every aspect of conscious existence in existence. It wasn't just what people wanted you to know. It was everything. There's no such thing as classified information. You have access to every classified document or hidden information in existence. Why? Because you have access to the conscious energy, the existence of that document. You just have to remember how to use it. It's not hard, but it does take effort. But the point is, when you know everybody knows everything, but there's no such thing as shame and guilt because there's no such thing as judgment, right? Shame and guilt come as a result of judgment. So if you are never going to be judged, then there's no such thing as shame and guilt. It's just a recognition of that was part of my experience. I'm moving on. That's it. And then as you move on, right, now you're exploring conversations with other humans because that's what we do. Do we have conversations where we let the other person tell us how we should act and what we should think and what we should do? Absolutely not. That's part of the current society. Original society was conversations of, tell me your experience with this. Help me understand what you learned, what you wanted to explore, and what you came to as a result. But here's the thing. They may be saying the words, but you're feeling the energy. So 90% of your information is coming from the wisdom of the energy and the person. No one lies because they know you're feeling the energy of it at the same time. Why would you lie? There's nothing to lie about because there is no such thing as judgment, guilt, shame. That's why people lie. And they want you to begin to really feel the impact because when you start to go into shame and guilt, fear of judgment, you shut down. That's where you shut down communication. Not because you don't want to be connected and you don't want to communicate, but because you were tired of it hurting. You were tired of being under attack because that's what it feels like. When someone's judging you, it feels like being under attack. And I know some of you will know because if you're empathic, which every human is, but if you're more sensitive to than someone else, and all that means is you didn't close down entirely, right? But you'll have a conversation, and if someone's judging you, you're shaking. You're shaking in that conversation because you feel the wrath of their energy. And that's the point. It's time to remember why your body is reacting this way, why you're emotionally reacting this way, because this is not how humans were meant to exist. We were meant to exist with the full stream of knowledge, everything in your awareness. Here's the thing with universal wisdom, knowledge, insight, information, consciousness, you don't have to remember a thing. Your brain isn't designed to stuff a whole bunch of facts in. It's not designed that way. And yet that's how we've been using it. Because consciousness is available all the time to everyone, which means you don't have to stuff facts in and remember them. It means that energetically, you will know exactly what you need to know in any given moment. Why? Because your energy is open to knowing and receiving the information for the exploration that you're in. And that exploration may be, what am I going to wear today? And all of a sudden you're in your closet and you have a vision or a feeling of maybe it's light or white or dark or a sweater or a t-shirt. It doesn't matter. But the energy will tell you if you're open to it. But most of us have closed our minds to feeling. We don't allow energy in. We only think. We stuffed all these facts in there and we stuffed all this information. And then we're walking around with this deep-seated fear of what happens if I forget this information. And then when you do have moments of forgetting, you get frustrated and then you start to feel shame and guilt again. But that's not how you were meant to focus. And that's not how you were meant to exist. So that shame and guilt is a waste of your energy. But also, it's understanding that you're actively using your energy to go against your natural state of being. Okay? You see, the creator is saying, humans were designed strategically for communication, but a level of communication that is only possible through the depths of connection, right? Through energy. Communication, this level of communication can't come from your mind because your mind doesn't have any depth of wisdom or knowledge. It only has facts. They're not malleable. They're just statements. There's no movement. Whereas connection is the flow of energy. So it's understanding how something happened, why it happened, who was involved, who was affected, how were they impacted, and what was the greater cause, and what is the potential in the future. All that information in one microcosm of existence. And all you have to do is set your intention to receive it, and it will come. But you have to be open to it coming in the way that it wants, not in the way that your mind needs or thinks it should show up. That's a whole other story. We're going to get into that. We've started talking about it in other episodes. But today, what they really want to help you understand is hiding from fear, shame, or guilt is a result of such invasive mass manipulation. It rivals for the number one crime against humanity. Just feel that, okay? It's right up there with the worst crime against humanity in existence. Why? Because it blocks you from your primal source of existence. It blocks you. It removes your natural ability to be who you are. Okay. And it's not like someone's removing it from you. It's you remove yourself from that flow of energy. It's like taking yourself out of the river, sitting on the sidelines, watching it flow by, knowing this feels wrong. It feels like, I'm missing something in my life, but it's also understanding that you're missing participating and being a part of something bigger than yourself. And that's that flow. That's the flow of universal existence. When you're participating and you understand, you're pushing yourself to follow what interests you, to follow your heart. Okay. We live in this world where we've been trained. Oh boy, what's right and what's wrong and how do we do it and how do we don't do it, to the point where we're so terrified to follow our hearts that we don't even know what brings us joy anymore. That's scary, because that means you're not living in alignment with truth, but you're not living in alignment with how you were created. And this is the biggest struggle right now. This is why humanity is struggling, is because we don't understand our core programming, our core reason for existence. Every being in this universe, okay, every aspect of existence, all of the elements, the animals, the flora, the fauna, like every aspect of existence understands the core reason for their existence. They participate in it instinctually and naturally. Everyone except humans. We're walking around thinking we're better than everybody else, so we got it all figured out, when really we can't even figure out how to connect our primal source of existence. Okay. So now that we understand the havoc that this has caused, okay, they want to, the goddess is here. There's so many incredible beings. We've got Pan and the Earth, Mother Earth. I call her Gaia. You can call her whatever you want. There's no right or wrong names, because again, right? Names and labels are human. They're not universal. So we don't need names universally until you restore your connection, right? And all of us, if all of humanity restored our connection with ourselves, right, then you literally plug into consciousness and universal awareness, and you no longer need for any name, any physical language in existence. There's no such thing, because energy is everything. So, we've got scientists, we've got archaeologists, we've got tons of historians, and they are researching ancient languages, that have been written down to save sacred texts, to save, hidden manuscripts that tell the secrets of the universe, right? We've got other people who are, believing that the secrets of the universe are in the Bible. They're hidden in secret codes in the Bible. The reality is the codes are inside of you. They're everywhere. And if you use the Bible, great. But it doesn't mean that it's the Bible that holds the key. It's you that holds the key. It's inside of you. And whatever triggers your memory, your awakening, right? I mean, we talk about that all the time, spiritual awakening. Whatever triggers your memory of existence is what allows you to reconnect. Okay. So they're showing me like sacred geometry. Again, it's not how humanity sees sacred geometry, because humanity sees it as a physical representation, that how things look together, how they come together, and how they're created, right? Through the stars and through the planets. It's understanding that every aspect of existence is the result of energetic intention. And your job is not to read the result. Your job is to understand the energetic intention, because that's how you were created. But we're walking around only seeing the results. We can't see past the results to get into the actual aspects of existence itself. We don't understand how to do that yet. We can't remember. And this is the heart. This is the heart and the core of human existence. Because that's where all the wisdom is. That's where existence, the keys and the secrets to existence, that's where they lie. They're not hidden behind a secret wall or a secret code. They're not hidden behind, a person or a God that says, well, you can only get this if you're good enough, or if you can answer this question, or if you were a good boy or a good girl. It doesn't work that way. It's available to every single being in existence. Why? Why? Because every single universal being that is created here has a place here, has a fundamental aspect of existence that you contribute to the whole. Okay, we're going to get more into that in the coming weeks. But today is helping you understand that the world is not a three-dimensional reality. It's a creation and an experience based on the frequency and vibration of universal intention that comes to life as energy. And that energy flows through everything and everyone. That's where the story is. That's what tells your story. That's what tells every story in existence. And you have access to every single one. And your job is to take the history of those stories and to wind some of them through your life and through your story so that you create something new and remarkable that has never been experienced in existence before, not just in your family, not just in your town or in your country even. Your job is to create something new and exciting. The challenge is we're over here focused on surviving because we have so much shame, guilt, and fear that we can't remember how to connect. We don't have the energy to connect because we're exhausted. And the Creator wants you to know, first and foremost, feel what He says. You're not alone. You've not been forgotten, and you're not left out. He says, I want you to know that your time is coming, but you need to be prepared in a way that will set you up for success. Because right now, you're angry at the world. You're angry at the things that are being done to you. You're angry at the things that are being done to others because you still see them as the final aspect of existence. And they're not. They're transition phases. They're transitional experiences in order for humanity to learn what it is we need to learn right now. And what you're learning is how to remember how to be connected, how to remember how to communicate with your soul, with yourselves in a way that allows the future to pour forth from you. You're learning how to allow universal energy to flow through you once again. Because you're not a portal. You're not the key. You are the energy. You're part of the flow. You're part of the greater whole and the greater picture. And it's understanding that without you, humanity doesn't exist the way it's meant to. But you have to choose to participate. You can't sit on the sidelines and watch what everyone else is doing. If you want to create a future, if you want to live in a future filled with connection and communication based on the source of the original intention of existence, then you need to find a way to fulfill that intention in your own self and in your own life. Become that energy, become that person who lives and breathes connection. Be willing to let go of anger, resentment, shame, guilt, frustration. And letting go means you don't focus on them at all. Not one bit. Letting go is not about a ceremony of letting go. It is about consciously choosing who you want to be every single day and then doing it, participating in it in a way that allows you to grow, that allows you to see the truth of who you are and the greater gifts of your impact in this universe and your potential, because it's sitting there waiting for you. If you want some more help, I highly suggest watching the video on the sacred prayer. It's about remembering how to communicate with your soul. They're showing me to share that with you. So I'll put that link in the comments below. And it's about allowing yourself right now, in this time, to begin to remember the truth of who you are. Because your fear, your guilt, and your shame needs to end now. Not because you're telling it to end, but because you're telling it that you are more than them. You are a universal being of light, of truth, of connection, and you communicate in a way that is aligned with the universal intention for this universe. It is so. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye for now.